Hello. Welcome to the Exatos.
I just want to say that I feel like I predicted it. I've said this before, but I wanted it in writing. So I just finally tweeted the theory that Bill Gates' relationship with Jeffrey Epstein is the primary reason Microsoft Windows is being purposefully dismantled. Because there's no logical explanation for why Windows sucks as much as it does, except for some sort of humiliation ritual against Bill Gates. And it seems like that's what the news is today, right? Like all the Epstein stuff about Bill Gates that's been in the paper. Melinda Gates, had said, Jeffrey Epstein was a major reason that the divorce between the two. Not that Melinda Gates is real. I mean, I'm pretty sure Melinda Gates is just Kevin Kline or something. But, that's my pitch. I think that they're literally trying to embarrass the hell out of Bill Gates or something. The other thing that was interesting was all the Elon Musk stuff, because Elon Musk said, I've never been to the island, and yet there's all of these emails that I will see from Epstein's side showing Elon Musk emailing him. I will see you on St. Barth. The ratio on my island makes the Tallulah uncomfortable. Do you have any parties planned? He says on Christmas 2012. Once my kids home for Christmas, I want to head out. He's just constantly trying to go there. He says that he refused publicly, but then privately on these emails, it's just like, dude, for years, it seems like every year around Christmas time, he was going out to Epstein's Island. So that's fun.
Oh man, that was part of what I was doing last night. I just woke
Epstein's
up.
Island?
I just woke up. By the way, yeah, I went to Epstein's. It was crazy, man. No, but the interview with him and Steve Bannon, I couldn't go away. I don't know if you've watched much of that, but holy cow, man!
With Elon Musk and Steve Bannon? No, Epstein and Bannon, right?
Epstein and Bannon.
Yeah, right.
Obviously, an old interview. He didn't come back.
Yeah, Epstein actually had Bannon as his PR guy at the time.
Yeah. Did you see much of that or any of that interview?
I saw it ages ago, but I haven't seen it recently, right? Is it the
same? I saw another
time?
interview with Epstein a long time ago, but I don't think this is the same one. Maybe
there's a newer thing that's been released. But I know I've seen a lot of
you got a leak before the rest of us, which wouldn't surprise me.
I mean, I've seen a lot of the footage of Bannon with Epstein, because I'm kind of familiar with the character, let's say.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of the footage that you've seen even in the Netflix documentaries.
Yeah, I feel like I recognize from this. Yeah, but yeah, so
he's in the background telling him what to say. He's advising him what to say, and then they're telling Epstein, like, "Is it true that you have a dick that's shaped like a boomerang or whatever?"
That was in a interrogation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Bannon was there to help.
Was he really? Why was Bannon in the interrogation?
Bannon was helping Epstein.
What, like
as a lawyer almost, yeah. Let me see, like,
weird.
Exactly what
I didn't realize Bannon was in that room, but yeah, no, it's just he's talking about when he was in solitary confinement and the crash happened in 2008, and like the prison guards were like asking for advice on what to do, and it's just like so freaking weird, dude. But yeah, I don't know, man.
Bannon communicated regularly between 2017 2019, emails, text messages. Bannon advised Epstein on reputation and media strategy. Bannon coached Epstein on how to present himself publicly and to prepare himself for what was to be high-profile interviews, such as 60 Minutes, and giving him advice on how to appear less creepy, quote unquote, and more sympathetic on camera. So yeah, there's
I didn't find anything sympathetic in this interview. I mean, it's just like he's basically laying most of his cards on the table with the exception of those specific crimes. But he's like, I don't know, he's got a big head, so he's like making himself out to be like this, like, mastermind in finance, and he's telling him about the way that the systems work. He's like, when you say what was the cause of the financial crash, he's like, well, if you went to your doctor and you're like, what was the cause for my heart attack, or if he was saying if you have like a death certificate, they'll like come up with something to say, oh, they died of this, they died of COVID, they died of whatever. And he's like, but there's all these different systems and you have a specialist for each system. So he's like, I was a specialist for one of the systems within the larger system. So you can't, it's not like I'm, like, I don't know. It's just, it was something else. Yeah.
You've seen the VH1 episode about Epstein that they had, right? In 2007.
I don't know. Have I? Maybe.
I don't know. This was so weird. This has been kind of circling around recently.
Oh no.
Financier Jeffrey Epstein. Jeff was a high school math teacher until he traded his blackboard for the big board in 1970.
Oh my God! It's just Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous.
Yeah, Fabulous Life of was the new version.
Actually launching his own exclusive finance firm for billionaire clients. But he just couldn't keep out of the classroom.
The flashing lights on the bus.
He just couldn't keep out of the classroom.
Oh,
they must know, right? Like they can't be an accident.
In 2007, yeah.
They're saying
yeah.
It's pretty crazy. I watched the rest
My
of it.
Island, what's going on there?
Did you do a longer interview with Sam Tripoli or just the short one? Definitely do a longer one. Yeah, I've done a few episodes with Tinfoil. Actually, that was just my interview of him where I talked to him kind of, but he turned it into like a thing asking me questions anyway. But if you watch on Tinfoil Hat, I've done like 3 episodes and a like a Patreon only thing. So yeah, there are definitely
Didn't Thomas do like a comic with Sam Tripoli?
Totally. Yeah.
They work together extensively. Yeah, that's cool.
Dude, Sam's cool. He's a good guy.
Dude, sure. Sam's there's like a clip from him on Joe Rogan, not just the one where he name drops
about Tartaria,
which was pretty cool. But there was like a point where he was predicting, this was several years ago, he was predicting the shift in protest to being about ICE, and he was like, and at the time when he's the way that he said it, we're going from this to this, like this is falling out of favor, so now we're going here or whatever. But he wasn't talking about the electorate, which I feel like is kind of, it's strange to me that like someone like Elon Musk, as much as he posts about his issues with immigration and fear of voter fraud and all these things, the driver's license thing in Minnesota, that everyone can have a driver's license and that's all you need to vote. Therefore, if you remove that completely and you just look at the Electoral College and you consider that the census, it does in fact include immigrants, whether illegal or legal immigrants are all included in the census, which gives blue states and theoretically red states, although I think we're seeing it more with blue, you get more House seats. And so just that alone is like, you're like, if you remove millions of people from a blue state, immediately you have the potential to have significantly less Electoral College seats, which could swing the whole election. So I'm just saying this,
not to mention, like if you just started having voter ID,
right? So you could have
letting people who are alive vote too.
Right. So I guess what I'm pointing out is that even if you remove those conspiratorial variables and you're just looking at the Electoral College and you consider what would be a motivation beyond just out of the goodness of people's hearts, humanity, when it comes to the immigrants, because we discussed in the past, like I was just editing a video like for half the night of like just all these old clips of the Democrats talking about immigration, and it's a complete 180 from what we have now. And in my opinion, most of it is a pretty mature perspective that also comes across as really bipartisan. And so,
yeah, I mean, especially you saw CNN's poll, right? It was like 64%, 57%, all above 50%. When asked, do you want to deport all immigrants here illegally or all undocumented immigrants, even when they said undocumented immigrants, trying to avoid using the word illegal, they still got these, like more than half of everyone was like, yeah, America's not tolerant the way it was.
It was like before Trump, there was a consistent position on immigration from the Democrats. And now, but my question is, it looks to me that when it comes to establishment Democrats and their intense reaction about immigration, I hate to say it, but it really looks like their motivation has to do with the elections way more than it has anything to do with them caring about the immigrants, which is scary because a lot of these people protesting in their mind where they're coming from, like that's like that it looks like a emotional manipulation, because they've been relating to their established Democrat leadership that they're just like coming from the same place as what they're saying, like these poor children, these poor people. Like, I don't think that that's it. I think maybe in certain cases you could see some degree of that, like they do actually care, but I think mostly it's just they're trying to protect those electoral college seats.
Trying to conserve their electoral. I think a lot of it, I think the thing with the Democrats is like pretty sad. I got a text message earlier today from the Democrats I wanted to read, actually. Let me find it for you. It was really funny. Andreas, this is Sam with the California Democrats. We're looking for folks in Santa Clara County to run for local office. This is how desperate they are. When the Democrats are texting me, like, there's a problem, like they don't know what to do. Because, like, I guess Hogg was busy. Like, what? Oh.
You're the one the prophet spoke of. It's like, we need that voice from nowhere. We need do it.
Oh my God. I don't know. Yeah, it's kind of sad. It's just kind of sad. I didn't think about it. I thought about it for at least 4 minutes. I was like, I could literally, I swear to God. Like, you could
be that baby sent down on like in the tar carriage down the river, to when the firstborn were getting killed. You know what I mean? Yeah. You could just find yourself. You could do more change from within the system than outside of the system. Look at you. We've been trying to do everything outside of the system. We need to get in there. I'll be your advisor, and you can not listen to a thing I say, but you can.
I would totally listen. I mean, but I might not do anything right, but I could at least make an AI generated image of myself floating down the river in a little, like, wax tar wicker baby basket thing.
Right. So it seems like what has been the norm for people in Congress is that they get this insider trading information, and that's what helps them like make so much money. But
are you using the Nancy Pelosi app yet?
You're supposed to. I don't do any of that. I'm not in the stock market. I don't even,
I'm just saying, for those of you who like are, or if you have a mom or something, you know what I mean, go to the Welcome to the Pelosi Tracker, pelositracker.app. That's what it is. Because you can, in the old days, you had to just kind of watch what she did and do it. Now you can literally sign up for the app, and it will, whenever she buys or sells something, it will buy. You can automate it to just automatically buy and sell
automatically stuff at that moment. So when she sells, does it automatically sell too?
It automatically sells when she sells, buys when she buys.
Oh, that's great.
It's super great. I mean, look at this. 31 million is invested from 16,497 people that's a decent amount to be making. And usually I think they're saying they're making like about $2,000. A lot of these people have about $2,000 put into the account. Some people have more, some people have less. But look at the numbers, right? You're getting 8%, 10%, 2%, all the stock transactions you can watch, and just they're all good moves, man. So there's no reason not to do this. If you have stocks, you have to get this. All right.
So here's where I'm going with it. Can we get an Ilhan Omar tracker where we know when to buy the fake winery and when to
marry your brother? Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, the marrying the brother thing actually seems more iffy than the evidence that I've seen for the fake winery. I don't know how that works with being a Muslim owning a winery.
Who's the guy who does the
on wine? It's unfortunate.
You know, the question mark suit guy who gives you free money. You know, it's like, you know, you can get it for free. Matthew Lesko. That's what it is. I think Somalians are kind of in Minnesota doing the Matthew Lesko thing. They probably got anyone in the right situation has a TV. They put on the TV and then they see Matthew Lesko and they think this is the American dream. You know, it really is, because it's like, you can get, if you just know how to look on the internet and you can get this book, there's all of these sources of money and you can get it for free. Hey, good to see you, buddy.
It's kind of my thing now.
Dude, I can't believe it. Yeah, did you just go to like Clearwater, or what's going on right now? Are you
I'm in the Illuminati Yacht Club, but I was shooting my Under the Docks, and I just decided to stay in character.
I wasn't sure, because it's like you could either, it's dangerous. Like you're in Florida, you either are on a boat with cocaine or you are L. Ron Hubbard doing Dianetics on a boat with cocaine.
Well, he makes it clear with the captain. See, if it didn't say captain on it, you just think he's just some sailor, but he's the goddamn captain. What if
is this stolen valor? Does this count as stolen valor?
You were already edging OT8 though. Like you were already, so it could happen at any moment. That's what scares me. You have to be careful. We don't want to lose you.
What's that? So, did you guys ever see that movie Red Rocket? It's like an A24 movie about a porn star who goes back to
home. Yeah.
Yeah, I did. I was gonna say I didn't, but I'm unfortunately I did see that. Yeah,
that's got the craziest stolen valor scene that there is in a like, he goes to his friend goes to the mall like dressed up in like full, like he served in Iraq, and then somebody like asks him some basic questions and he can't answer them. Like, stolen valor here, stolen valor. They beat him up or throw him in.
I kind of love those videos. It's like one of my favorite like OG internet videos.
People getting called out for stolen valor?
For stolen valor, 100%, yeah.
Oh my god.
Well, I mean, if you drove a truck around, I feel like you probably a tank around or something, you probably, you know, it probably hits a little different. If you ever had like swamp crotch in Afghanistan, you know what I mean? Like you probably hate stolen valor more than other people. I think it's fair.
But also I guess the thing, and I don't know if I agree with both sides, right? I don't think anyone should get beat up for stolen valor. It's like
that's half the fun, right?
I guess so. Yeah, I guess that's the only thing that makes it interesting content, and that I even care, or that stolen valor is even a thing. But also, it's not like you really get any recognition or credit. You like there's no benefits that
you get on the plane first. They let you get on the plane right away. They're like,
maybe you can get 20% off Home Depot or something, unless they've made that a little more stringent. Pro tip.
Those people look at you different, right? Like you ever sit somewhere. I remember I was being in Virginia and I just cut my hair, and then some lady looked at me and said, "Thank you for your service." And I was like, "No, I'm just an asshole, and I just cut my hair short." You know. It's one of the reasons you grow it out, but then they think you're a veteran anyway. There's no escape.
Yeah, if I go to JNS Surplus in Moss Landing, Andreas, they'll ask me every time, "Did you serve?" And if I were to say yes and do some stolen valor in that moment, I would get like a significant discount on everything that I'm buying.
Plus, you'd make some friends because they would open up to you.
One time I almost wanted to just be like, yeah, I was in the, and I could say National Guard because my brother was in the National Guard, but it ended up just coming out. I'm like, well, my brother served, my uncle served, like I can't, but I'm just like, wow, that is quite a discount, like. But then I got this guy that's just like the Simpsons guy with the one arm with the thing, and I'm like, I can't, endure the possibility of him just like, humiliating me and I'm never invited back,
And plus when you're like, oh, my brother served, my dad served, it's like, okay, what's wrong with you?
Right. What's wrong with you? You got a problem? Yeah, I got 2 left feet, bro. I'm freaking, I'm colorblind, dude. I got like a series of issues. I got peptic ulcers, man. I don't know what to tell you.
Tried. You got all the way to Met.
I tried. I did everything I could. I went back 3 times. They were like, dude, you were here last week. I'm like, oh, just.
I mean, also stolen valor is such a risk, right? Because people get arrested for it. This lady was at the airport was doing this over and over again until finally they arrested her for faking it because they realized, people would ask what's going on. And, I think that's the thing. There are people that are trying to benefit from it. It's not just that they're walking around, but it is kind of like transgenderism.
Okay, well, I mean, aside from boarding early, what other benefits that people? I think it's more of like a weird like identity crisis that someone's going through, where like they want to feel appreciated, and they think if they just put this on, then people will like thank you for your service. They kind of do it to hear that, even though it's fake. They need to hear some sort of like positive reinforcement.
I said it's just like being transgender. So I mean, if you're,
but that one has fun sex stuff involved, no?
You're not. I mean, are we not?
Gender and sex are different, Thomas.
Plus, sex in the military is pretty different. I heard too. So.
No comment.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
But if a guy's like homeless and he's just like his clothes are ripped up and he's having a rough time and he's holding a sign that says he's a vet, I feel differently about that than I do this person at the airport who's probably
in fact that person's probably exploiting it even more because they know that there's a homeless veteran problem and now they're being the homeless veteran, taking it away from another homeless veteran versus someone that's just LARPing.
Right, but they may not say what they're a veteran of. It could be the psychic wars.
True. And would that be a lie?
Drug wars, yeah.
In fact, they would probably get some cash if they stood at the stoplight with a sign that said "Veteran of the Psychic Wars." Like, I would be more apt to put some money in their hands with somebody who's just like, vet, like World War II vet, and you're like, dude, aren't you 30? Like, what? Like,
what gives me
good.
What gives me similar pause to you, Thomas, is when someone steals the valor of being an MK Ultra victim. Because it's like you don't know what we went through. So
I met an MK Ultra victim. I think I've talked about it on the show, and I talked to him multiple nights when I drove a cab, and his story checked out. Like, it really checked out. And I'm like, oh shit, no, it's a thing.
We live in the place for it, so
I don't remember.
Is his name Paul? Is Paul Mel Gibson's character in Conspiracy Theory? No, I'm trying.
Or Troy Boner.
Alicia
Owens.
I apologize.
He ran off to India after it happened, and he lived in India for years and years. And he studied under Srinivas Sargadatta's student. So I've talked about this before. I think that guy that makes clips out of our show, Amoeba, Exertus Amoeba, whatever. I think he's actually shared that clip where I go off about it. But yeah, no, he was under that Dr. Green guy. I think that's the guy who fucked with the elephant. That guy fucked with this guy. And so
Dr. Jolly West?
Yeah. So he had directly, that guy was like doing shit with him.
Because when it comes to the colors, it's a little bit hard because there's multiple sources for the colors. There's a Dr. Green, there's a Dr. White, and there's like a Dr. Black. There's like a few different doctor colors.
Guy who's known to be the guy with the elephant with the LSD.
This is Dr. Jollyton West.
Yeah.
I feel like he's somehow related to like the deleted scenes of Operation Dumbo Drop also, I mean, they even included the PCP suppository, so that there's something to it. But what was the deal that you wanted to bring up about him, like the elephant? I don't know this story.
What this guy who I'm talking about, I do not believe it was stolen MK Ultra valor. This story was too intense and too specific, got into too much specifics. But his parents were military people, and they put him in here. So like they basically volunteered his son for MK Ultra experimentation. The father mainly, I guess, was like, he's a military guy, so he puts his son in there, and then they told him that he couldn't leave until he didn't want to leave, and they authentically believed him that he didn't want to go. And then they're like, okay, well, at that point you can go. But they kept him for definitely over a year, and they had all these files on him, like and telling him how special he was in all these different ways, like you're an anomaly and all this stuff. And now he's like, now he looks back on it, he's like, I think all that was bullshit. Like I could have been anybody. They were just messing with me, But yeah.
They do, once you get into the medical wing of the military, they do like to mess with you because there's only a few reasons that you usually end up there, and a lot of them are it's a punitive exit from the military for a lot of people. Like if you did something, if you try to do conscientious objector, if you try and claim that you're going to off yourself or something, like go through any kind of a mental issue that way out, they make it as hard as they possibly can, and they set these like impossible standards to just so you serve as an example for anyone else that's like, hey, you want to try and get out that way? Well, look at how that went. You want to get
right
here. Like that's legit. That is, there were people that wanted to get out and they were like afraid to claim that they didn't have the mental fortitude to get through because they were afraid they'd get sent to the medical wing. And then you're there for an undisclosed amount of time until they feel like you're ready to go.
Right.
Mein Gott. Well, here's a good one. So Jolyon, you probably all remember from Jack Ruby, right? Where's Jack Ruby at?
Jack Ruby, also
Jack Ruby. He was
McVeigh, allegedly.
He was Timmy McVeigh's also. Okay, well, so at least he was Jack Ruby's psychiatrist, which is interesting, as Jack Ruby was claimed, as the lead. I mean, or used as.
And he was like prison psychiatrist.
Yeah. For after the assassination of Lee Harvey Oswald.
Yeah, because Oswald in jail for like over a year, I think, after this happens, and like while he's in there, they're trying to extract information. They start having Ruby go in to talk to him, and the longer that goes on, the more and more Jack Ruby loses his sanity to the point where there was reports that he was just banging his head against the wall, and just like not making any sense to anybody. And a lot of the rumor and the supposition is that Dr. Jolly West was just doing some crazy MK Ultra stuff to his mind that just drove him to the point of like self-harm, basically.
Mm-hmm. So Patty Hearst like also from the Stockholm syndrome.
Shit. Afterwards.
Go. Yeah. Well, you go first, though. I'll go back to that. It's 10 years later. So what were you gonna say?
I don't know. I'm looking at the timing of things. Like if Jack Ruby had any interaction with Jolly West before Oswald, then and the same thing with Patty Hearst. Like if Patty Hearst had any interaction with Jolly West before, she
and Jolly West too comes up frequently in that free health clinic from the Haight Barry Ash clinic, that he's the one that originally got that entire operation started, or he was like one of the founders of it, and then he moved away and let it like continue to operate, but that was his brainchild.
Wow. Yeah, that's nuts, dude.
I guess he also was involved with the Playboy Mansion.
Was he involved with the tunnels?
So apparently he was Lance Rensel, who was a National Football League flanker for the University of Oklahoma, was arrested twice for indecent exposure to young girls. In the epilogue of When All Laughter Died in Sorrow, the Athlete 72 memoir said that West's family had been acquainted with Rensel's family during their time at the university. And this goes into a thing because in 1969 until 1989, he was the chair of psychiatry at the University of California, Los Angeles School of Medicine. So, he would have had connections to like everybody everywhere, including Ronald Reagan, governor of California, president of the United States. So he's right at the top there. Anyway, he had to go and help this Rensel guy quit exposing himself to young girls, and he took on residence at the Playboy Mansion with Jolyon. And in his 2022 memoir, former mansion butler Stefan Tettenbaum wrote
that was a Freudian slip,
right? And it is, and he saw Rensel masturbate in front of the primates at the mansion zoo. So apparently there was a zoo,
who could resist, really?
That new bucket list item just instantly.
No, this happened to me.
As soon as I heard it, I was like, "Damn!" I didn't realize I
was like walking across a bridge in Rishikesh, and there must have been 100 monkeys masturbating on the bridge, and they were all looking at me as I walked by. It was the most awkward experience of my life. But this is the flip side. He's doing it to the monkeys. Like, whoa,
how else do you establish dominance?
What would they have done if I had done that? if I had just stopped and I like got into it, would they all just go away? Like,
depends. Were they chimps or bonobos?
Like,
if it's chimps, it could be dangerous. If it's a
it didn't
bonobo, they
even-
might
it
have
didn't
been
even
like,
occur
nice.
to me. It's like that Seinfeld. Like he took it out. He was like, I'm always trying to get them to take it. I didn't think that George.
I
like,
don't. Isn't that the White Album? Like, why don't we do it in the road? Is because
yeah.
the Beatles went to India and then they went on this like guru thing and they're supposed to see something that was going to be their like moment of zen. And
Yeah.
Paul was really not interested in this and thought it was overpriced and he didn't enjoy that George Harrison made him go. And then he sees the thing he sees like, is that supposed to be my vision? And it's two monkeys that are doing it in the road. And so he wrote the song literally as an offense to George Harrison, which is one of the reasons that they didn't like each other so much after that.
Wait, are you being serious or are you just joking right now?
No, that's what I've heard. I heard that was the story. That's why don't we do it in the road? No one will be watching us.
Oh my God, that makes so much sense. I thought maybe Rick Griffin's interpretation of it was like the interpretation. Like, is that literally a joke? Because he's like, why don't we do it in the road? And then they didn't see the car coming, or didn't see the truck coming, and then it was too late or whatever because they were doing it in the road and they were distracted in the road.
That could be a thing. I don't know. So I wanted also because I don't know the elephant story. So that's the one that you were talking about. Let me just wiki that for people. So LSD related death of an elephant. One of the more unusual incidents in West Korea took place in August 1962 when he and two co-workers attempted to investigate the phenomenon of must in elephants by dosing Tusco, a bull elephant at the Lincoln Park Zoo in Oklahoma City, with LSD. They expected the drug would trigger a state similar to must. But by the way, do we know what this means? Must is, I guess, a secretion, a temporin secretion. It's a periodic condition in the bull male characterized by aggressive behavior accompanied by a large rise in reproductive hormones. It's been seen in Asian elephants for 3,000 years, but it's only described in African elephants in 1981. Evidence indicates that the similar behavior occurred in extinct proboscidians like Gomphotheris and mastodons. Thanks, I tried. All right. So they're trying to discover if LSD produced a similar.
They're trying to
response.
milk an elephant, a boy elephant.
This is like an adrenochrome milking, like similar to what we normally do to kids, but like to an elephant. All right. Instead, the animal began to have seizures 5 minutes after LSD was administered. Beginning 20 minutes later, West and his colleague administered the antipsychotic promazine hydrochloride. They injected a total of 2,800 milligrams over 11 minutes. This large promazine dose was not effective and may have contributed to the animal's death.
More than likely, because right now this would be one of the only records of LSD being like a toxic chemical that caused something to die. It's more likely than not that it's all the other drugs they started giving them. There was also barbiturates, I believe they gave them.
Well, what the guy told me about the elephant, I don't know. You can take this or leave this, but at least what his understanding was that it was as simple as they looked at the elephant, saw how big it was, and gave it the LSD compared to a person, thinking that would be appropriate, not understanding that the brain of an elephant is actually not that much bigger, and that's what mattered, not the size of the whole creature. So it's not like certain drugs that gets distributed into the body, it would make sense, like how much it's going to affect you. Like MDMA is like that. Like a bigger person sometimes has to take more MDMA to get the same effects as a smaller person. So I've heard, like from a very large friend of mine who's like, I can't. He's like, if you give me one pill of MDMA, I almost don't feel a thing. He's just like, so I don't know. That's what he told me, was that they gave him the amount of LSD for body mass, and that was stupid because his brain was affected even, just as much as a human's would be, I guess, for dosage. But
not the best way to go out for an elephant.
Oh no, not at all. And also
this fun on LSD. I mean, the rest of the problems, like the promazine and all that, but like maybe that made them calm while they were having the seizure. It's the barbiturates that probably killed it. That's what I'm imagining, because an elephant can usually handle PCP and probably can handle LSD. It might have had
all about this. You've experimented with this, right? With your.
That's literally Walt Disney's Operation Elbow Drop. They give they're in the plane. If you're 6 years old and you saw that movie, an elephant can handle this much ketamine, right?
Right.
So
okay, fair enough.
Yeah, every little boy should.
You ever seen Bye Bye Birdie? with
A musical?
and
Yeah.
Margaret. Yeah, the musical.
Yeah.
Which
So,
song is that?
Do you remember the end of Bye Bye Birdie? Like how they win the contest is by drugging was it the Russians or something? I can't remember. It's been a while, but they drug their opponent, and then it works out for. I think they give them speed, and then there's like a second where they're like, oh shit, they're doing really well. And it's like, and then they just go too off. They're like. They get too carried away on the speed, and then it's like they lose the contest that way. I'm like, this is about America drugging another country's like competition to get them to like, I don't know. It's like, I'm like, what is the moral of this story? Like,
I think part of that too, legitimately, it was normalizing the fact that your wife was taking speed while she vacuumed the house.
Right, yeah.
Probably.
That was a big deal. They had to figure out what to do with all those German medicines that were invented. But it's also Elvis Presley. Isn't it based on Elvis Presley's being drafted? That's kind of
right. So the whole movie is like a satire on Anne Margaret, Elvis Presley movies, but it's still got Anne Margaret, and then they have another guy like playing Elvis Presley, but he's just like absurd. So it's kind of like it's like a spoof, but then it's got a character who's in the actual movies like included. So it's kind of weird, and it's strange because like that Bye Bye Birdie song and a lot of the songs are like purposefully annoying. It's like one of the weirdest musicals. It's like
MK Ultra, 100%.
Yeah, like they're like trying. Like this feels like a movie that they would make people watch with lid locks. Like this feels like there's something in this that's some kind of subliminal communication that they just want to like you'd use it for torture purposes. I don't know.
I mean, Jeffrey Dahmer and Elvis Presley both went to the same German military base at Grafenwohr, right? So I always wonder about that. It seems really strange to me. Like, what was the deal with that? You know, I mean, so many crazy people did. That's like the West German MK Ultra base, Grafenwohr.
Yeah. Huh.
So, but yeah, Speed for sure. Also, back to the Beatles because that's their whole thing. They started out as a speed band that just would go to Germany so they could play 18-hour sets on speed.
Yep.
Diet.
And that's the thing. Like you see if you see any of that original footage, I forget the name of the tavern, but where it's like they have that fence in front of them and people are just throwing bottles and shit the whole time, and they're just like playing like that's like a human zoo kind of thing. Like they're like behind the cage and people are like throwing stuff at the monkeys. I mean, they weren't the monkeys. The Monkeys was another band modeled after them, but you know what I mean.
Dude, have you guys watched Chimp Crazy yet?
Yeah, the one where the lady's face gets ripped off, right?
I mean, yeah, that's the one. Way to be a spoiler for the best part now. But I feel like this is one of the more interesting reality shows ever. Like, I mean, kind of you learn about what monkeys or chimpanzees are like, but also what humans are like to an extent. Why humans would ever want to have these wild animals raised as babies, right? And she doesn't care about her own children nearly as much as she cares about these forever babies that will never actually grow up. But then once they realize that they're never actually going to grow up, they become angry and then they attack. You know, like what would you do?
It's basically the same version of Tiger King, where people buy these cute little animals, and then after the first maybe 3 years, then all of a sudden it's no longer a cute little animal. It's like an actual legit animal that can kill you, and then they do.
Nope.
No thanks.
No, I'm saying the movie Nope.
Oh yeah.
Where the ape kills everybody on the set.
Oh yeah, that's true.
You've seen this, right, Thomas? You're looking at me like, did you see?
Yeah, it's like the kids sitcom show, and the monkey goes crazy during like the live taping.
Yeah. There's something to it.
Well, what do you mean? Just because
But I think that was based on this happening, I believe.
Yeah, I think it was inspired by this, and there was a few monkey attacks that happened like in a row where the monkeys were ripping people's faces off, but they also had the really screwed up one where the ape took off the father's testicles and shoved it up his backside, and that was like, and then that ape ran outside when a cop car showed up, and the ape came in through the driver's side door. And not driver's side, the passenger side door, and killed the cop. So like the first cop on the scene got murdered by the ape too, that like killed the whole family. Like, oh my god!
Well, in this story, where basically what has spoiler alert, I guess again, but like towards the end,
and
she
this
gets
did happen like
by a
90s.
monkey. and her friend comes over to like help, like assist her, and I guess the monkey gets out and rips her friend's face off, and when the cop shows up, the cop tries to hide in his cop car, and the monkey rips the door off, like the shut door, just rips it right off the cop car. I believe he survived the encounter, but it just goes to show like these things have incredible amounts of power if you just hit the right switch.
Sorry, I don't know what this show is. Is it a recreation of a true story? Is it like
no? It's a real,
it's like a Tiger King, but it's like instead of the Tiger King collecting tigers, it's this lady that adopts. She starts with like rhesus monkeys, but then
she dies at the end.
No,
and they buy babies, and then they get like huge.
Yeah.
Okay, because the way you were saying it is, I didn't know if this whole thing ends in tragedy and they just happen to be filming it.
Well, it definitely ends in tragedy, but it's not, and they are definitely just sort of filming it. But that particular story is just one of the horror stories that they're citing about animal abuse, because they're showing how this started, where originally there were science experiments in America, and so they were using monkeys for science experiments, and then some of those monkeys and apes and chimps, etc., were sold because they weren't being used for those experiments anymore. And a lady who got her hands on them started breeding them and selling them to other women who wanted to have, usually women who wanted to have apes. Of course, there were some men who bought them as well, but there were 25,000 or something per ape in the 80s, you know.
So they were like Project X apes that were then sent. Okay.
And not only, because obviously there's like Avon apes too, you know, and you can kind of see, I feel like.
What do you mean by Avon apes? They use makeup to test on them or what?
You're right. I didn't mean like her. She's kind of an Avon ape in a different way.
She looks like she would show up door to door with Avon. Yeah.
Totally. I mean, she looks like she got hit by a truck filled with Avon products, and it all spilled on her, sort of like Daredevil got all those chemicals. But not to be rude, because like she seems great, you know. But the apes that get experimented on aren't always becoming super soldiers that get to fly jets. Some of them are just eating lipstick until they die, just to see how much lipstick an ape can consume.
Right. And some of them just roller skate and smoke cigars. But yeah.
Yeah, which is way cooler. It's true. But so the thing is, they take the apes that rollerblade and smoke cigars, and they make them into movie stars. And they had all these movie stars who knew an ape from a movie. I think Tim Curry or whatever. No, Ian Cummings, whatever. One of the actors.
It was Duncan's Hotel or Duncan Checks In or something like that.
Oh, that one.
Yeah. So hey, sticky marks. Thank you. You make me love British people. We love you, Sticky Marks.
Is this real, or are we living in a metaphysical South Park?
Definitely both. Hiya, do you think that they're future shocked or future effed? Is this real, or are we living in the metaphysical South Park? Lerv and Peas from the Crazy Old Lady-ish and in Yorkshire, UK. Dude, I was just listening to Strawberry Switchblade, and I didn't realize the whole backstory about that band and how they only made one album because she had agoraphobia. Anyway, good scene, twee pop scene. But the apes, so the PETA group, the people for the ethical treatment of animals, are kind of the villain. Depends on what you mean. Like, there's two sides, right? Like, there's the woman that's trying to raise the apes that she got from the lady who got the apes from the military experiments, which is this lady with the Avon face. And then there's the PETA people who, you know, they just can't understand why people would want to be around apes, and they want to stop
cats or dogs to be. If you want to get authentic, like they don't even want you to have a dog or a cat.
Right. And then they don't like that acting apes get to act, basically, which is a tragedy because this is like the only thing that they like to do. And an out of work monkey is worse probably than your regular actor because that's like all they've ever done, you know?
Or do they have to do like SAG-AFTRA and all that stuff? Do they are like they're like union?
Not anymore. That's the tragedy because like ever since 2012 with the Rise of the Planet of the Apes movie with Franco, there's just been CGI apes played by the Gollum Andy guy.
Right.
So we don't get to have real apes in movies anymore. This is the first time I've seen a real ape in a TV show in a million years. And I like Lancelot Link, if you remember Lancelot Link, right?
Well, you know, they had real apes in 2001: A Space Odyssey, but like most of them were like men in suits. And
they all got along just fine, right?
Worth pointing out is that the year of 2001: A Space Odyssey, Planet of the Apes got a new Oscar. They made a new category of best makeup effects, and they gave it to Planet of the Apes. And everyone involved in 2001: A Space Odyssey was like, "What the hell, man? We like made some, but Arthur C. Clarke theorized that the reason why they gave it to Planet of the Apes and not 2001: A Space Odyssey is that the people who were judging honestly didn't know that those were men in ape costumes. Like
Yeah,
that they thought that there was some other type of ape that they weren't, It's like, I don't know. It's like,
yeah. Whereas when the mouth is moving and you can see the human mouth inside of the ape mouth, like that's kind of, yeah. And you're always wondering, like, why does this ape have a British accent? Like, what? How did like the rest of society is gone, but there's just some apes that are still English?
It's basically anti-Tarzan,
dude.
Yeah. What the hell? Yeah, when
Tarzan's about this, right?
Well, because Tarzan is British aristocracy that can dominate any environment that you put it in. He just happens to be in the jungle. So that's like a proof that he would never regress into being a jungle person. He stays a British aristocrat, even as Tarzan.
I mean, the more I think about Tarzan, the more I think Disney's Tarzan, particularly the point being that Phil Collins' music for Tarzan emphasize Son of Man. It's all about Jesus. Son of Man, there's this whole thing that Tarzan is the Christ and he's around Goyim, which are animal-like people. They're anthropomorphic, right? So it's not so much that it's about the Anglo-centric nature of Tarzan. I think it's actually weirder than that. It's about sort of the Ubermensch and the Untermensch and the last man kind of idea.
Well, that's still pretty Anglo. And then there's even an entire rabbit hole that Tarzan goes down where he goes into Hollow Earth, and in Hollow Earth are like these Negroid, like race of Negroids. I was
about to say, like the old Tarzan novels, like with the Frazetta covers and all of that, the same writers of Tarzan tended to do like real sci-fi type stuff. So there's a lot of like sci-fi crossover with the Tarzan, at least in the small novel forms. But yeah.
It was like one of the most popular stories of all time. In fact, like I think Tarzania, California, or Tarzana, California, it was literally named after Tarzan because of how popular Tarzan was.
Well, a lot of people were buying those books based on the covers. Like they just wanted them for the covers. That was like rare for those kind of paperbacks to just for people just to want them to own the cover. Hang this book on my wall,
Well, I know Don Kirshner and who's the other guy from the Monkees? Bert Schneider, I think, is the one who got in a fight with the Monkees, and they didn't like how this band wouldn't do exactly what they said. The whole point of them being 4F, flat-footed, wearing glasses, super short and British, was that they couldn't get drafted. They had to do exactly what the producer said, and that they were going to get to sit in nice cars and wear captain hats and everything else. And when they finally got punched in the face, I think wasn't it like was it Nesmith or was it Torque? I think it was Nesmith, right? Yeah,
I don't know what incident you're referring to.
Nesmith punched Schneider in the face, or Don Kirshner in the face, when they said that they wanted him to play the Sugar Sugar, Oh Candy Candy, You're My Honey Girl song.
That was the Archie.
Sugar. Well, see, originally it was all Don Kirshner, and it originally was supposed to be for the Monkees.
Really?
Torque and Nesner and David Jones, they wanted to make their own music, and they had their own songs, and they were going to show it to them, and they're like, we don't want you to play those songs. Those songs are weird and kind of like a little too weird for us, so we're going to have you play this song, Sugar Sugar. This is the new hit. And they got really upset because they were like, there's no communication here.
Wow,
so Nesmith punched Schneider in the face. Yeah,
the song Hey Hey We're the Monkees is very similar to Sugar Sugar.
Oh, dude.
Like, if you listen to the way that it goes, Hey, hey, we're the monkeys. People say we monkey around, but we're too busy singing to put anybody down. Sugar, dun, 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 dun. Ooh, honey, honey, dun, dun, dun. You are my candy girl.
Don Kirshner, dude, this freaking New York Jewish producer of music, he's amazing. He's one of my favorite people, and he created so many songs. He's kind of like the Max Martin of pop music in the 60s, and eventually, because making music for bands didn't work, they had some ideas around it. They created the Archies as a cartoon band, kind of like the Gorillaz. If you think about it, the Gorillaz is completely about the Monkees and Archies. It's this thing that can be whatever you want it to be. They'll never grow any older, and they can be whatever you want, right?
Oh, interesting. Hey, just so you know, there's like an old always record on YouTube with the entire movie Head, with me and like a bunch of other people doing audio commentary over it, and like maybe 3/4 of the way through, I give a big reveal that I'd never seen the movie before that. So,
really?
I'd never seen Head before that. Yeah.
But you've seen Head a lot of times since then, hopefully, or like you've kind of seen it
completely. Yeah. Oh yeah. No, this was like 2010 or 2011. I can't remember exactly. Maybe it was
I grew up on the Monkees for some reason. 12, like my dad liked the Monkees, and Head was one of the first things I think I probably wouldn't be this way without seeing Head.
I may have, when I was a kid, had Head on and witnessed it, but I didn't put it all together, like I don't know, like I watched the Monkees show a lot
because like the reason it's such a great title is because you can ask someone, did you like Head? Did you get Head?
Right.
Because if you didn't get Head,
did you understand Head? Is did you get Head? And it's Jack Nicholson too, so it's like he directed it, so it's it's weird,
dude.
So you could be like, did you get Head by Jack Nicholson?
Right.
So my question tying back to earlier when you brought up the Playboy Mansion is like that there's all these tunnels. There's one from Warren Beatty's house and there's ones from Jack Nicholson's house to the Playboy Mansion. But I've wondered to myself what those tunnels are actually like. Like initially I just visualized these like dark, well obviously dark because it's a fucking tunnel, but I visualized like a dirt like cave that you go through, and then I'm like, was that like I'm just entertained. I'm like, is that like tiled? Were they going through that cave in like a golf cart back and forth? Were they even walking like
in They Live? Yeah, it's
gonna be like what was it? What were the particulars around those tunnels? And what went on with those tunnels? Just like bringing, like, I mean, maybe it's just maybe it's nothing that nefarious. I don't know.
Nicole Wordsmith, who's visiting her mom, and by the way, if you're watching the show, please put some positive energy towards Anna Nicole Wordsmith and her mother, because I think her mother's going through something. So just, I hope she's doing well. To send some love her direction. But she recommended and showed me this movie under the Silver Lake, Silver Lake, California. Have you seen Under the Silver Lake yet?
Can I just spoil it again?
Andrew Garfield. If you've seen it, I mean, it's related to underground.
What are you going to spoil?
There's tunnels underground. Yeah,
you going to spoil the songwriter thing? What do you got?
Well, I guess for me, the big spoiler was that ultimately it's about this famous songwriter that has written every single pop song, but he's been doing it and encoding secret messages and subliminal messages into everything. It's like the ultimate Illuminati controls the pop industry conspiracy theory confirmed.
And it's Don Kirshner. It's like not quite, but basically it's this old Jewish guy in his old house, and he's like 1,000 years old. It's like 120 years old or something like that. And he has like a spray-on tan, and he's playing the piano, and he's written every song for everybody, like Nirvana. It's like he wrote the songs for Nirvana that you thought, all of the music you ever thought was written by some indie band, of course, never was. It's all written by this one guy. It's all there. But there's also this kind of these cults, and there's from the Hollywood Cemetery tunnels, and there are people that are preparing for the Egyptian afterlife, right? By bringing people to live on, like they're part of these LA cults. So I wouldn't say that's a huge spoiler. Maybe it is, my bad, but it's definitely worth watching.
It is. You just spoiled the whole fucking movie for anyone
else. Now you have to watch it.
It's been out for a long time, and I think that after a certain point, you have, you can do.
There's still a lot more to it. Watching. It is still, because it's got this weird kind of film noir kind of drama, which is interesting.
It's good to watch in black and white, as Bill would do. But yeah, because I
would actually consider it for this one.
He watches like everything in black and white now. Like I go in there like most nights. He's got the projector set up, and he's just like, it doesn't matter what he's watching football in black and white. He's just like and like I'm like, dude, it's hard to follow this game. Like everyone, like depending on if
I wonder what the Matrix is like in black and white. The thing is, he's selling it to me pretty well. The one thing I would recommend, there's some things that color is important to, and like 1968 on. So Lancelot Link, right? You've seen Lancelot Link, right?
I have the
greatest show. You've never seen Lancelot Link? This is the greatest show of all time. This is hands down more important.
The greatest show of all time.
It's better than Braveheart or what's the other one? I mean, my God, all the shows combined. This is okay. After the Monkees were done, and they realized they couldn't get the Monkees to say what they wanted to, they're like, I'm going to get some actual monkeys, and I'm going to make them say what I want them to. And they get to wear nice suits, and they get to drive around in Rolls Royces, and they have all of these characters that are getting on boats. And
wait. Are they putting peanut butter on the inside of their lips to get them to
They're
do
letting
that?
them eat peanut butter while they make the movie. That's so nice.
Oh my god, it's just Mr. Ed with apes.
Dude,
oh no.
but with way more acid.
Yeah.
Way
This
more
happened.
acid. There's so much
my
more
God.
acid than Ed. There's no comparison when you really get.
You guys
down
got
to it.
monkey stories, like personal, like incident? Like I bet you do, Andreas. When you're traveling, you ever have to deal with monkeys in public?
Just a few times, obviously there's monkey gangs, and sometimes they sneak into your windows and they try to steal your stuff. But my favorite's not even my story. My favorite's Sabri. Sabri had an untouchable woman sell him a monkey once for $40, and he kept it for like the whole summer he was living in India. And at one point, it's like sitting up in the corner because it's always up in the corner there. And he's rolling a cigarette or a joint, I don't know. But he rolls this thing up, and as soon as he lights it, the freaking monkey, it jumps down, grabs it from him, jumps back up, just sucking this thing down. Like furiously, like he's been thinking about it.
Dana Carvey smoking weed with a beetle, he's just
how dare you not share with me? And this monkey's just like, I'm a person too, I'm curious, and just smokes it down.
I was in a train station kind of near Delhi, and I just bought a bag of potato chips, and I was so excited to eat a bag of potato chips. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like you're in India. Sometimes it's it's like, oh, it's fucking potato chip. And I just bought it, and I turn around, and all of a sudden, straight down from the freaking rafters above me by the train, monkey just like swoops down, grabs the chips directly out of my hand, and runs like 15 feet in front of me. And then he turns around and he opens the bag like a person would, just like, boom, like, and then he reaches in and takes one chip out and eats it while looking at me. I was like, you son of a bitch. You son of a bitch. And I look back at the guy, he's like, the guy at the stand, he's like, I don't know, man. Like, and obviously this happens all the time.
Like,
obviously the monkey's got a routine. He's like, somebody buys something from the stand, he's just like, this is his way to do it. But yeah, man, bastard.
Yeah, I don't know.
I feel like I needed a monkey story. I know I had an uncle that bought an organ grinder monkey through a mail order catalog, and it bit a kid.
Oh, God, dude. Okay, sorry. I got another monkey story. I got to show you a monkey story. I'm at Hanuman Gar. So if you know who Hanuman is, he's like the monkey god,
he's
right?
the monkey king. He's like the god of
Ramayana.
monkeys.
And so I'm sitting on a cliff, and I'm meditating, and I'm overlooking, like, I'm in, not the higher part of the Himalayas, but definitely way past the foothills, so I'm like on a peak, and I'm looking at this fucking valley, and I'm just like sitting there all cross-legged, just like, oh, totally at peace, and I see this monkey in a tree that's like hanging off the cliff, and all of a sudden he just starts screaming and like jumping up and down on the tree and rocking back and forth. I'm like, what is going on? Like, I'm like, why is this monkey freaking out? And all of a sudden I feel this intense grip on my shoulders, like, and back, like it's just like, Gah! And I'm like, what the fuck? And I turn my head, and there's just a monkey like right up to my face, just like he's on me, and he's like looking at me, and I'm like, what the fuck? And I like freak out, and like I'm just like, get the fuck off me. And then he runs away, like, once again, probably like 15 feet or something, and I'm looking at him, and he just starts going, ah! Like he's all freaking out, and then he runs away. And I'm like, what the fuck was that? And I look back over at the other monkey on the tree, and he's just going like this. and like in my mind in that moment,
with that guy,
I wanted it to be that monkey on the tree was like trying to warn me, like he's gonna get you, like, and then I realized, no, he was just excited that there was something going on. Like, they're just bored. They're like, something's happening, and he's like, get him. Probably it's like
he was upset that you didn't get your face ripped off.
Probably. It's just like, no, that could have been better. That could have been more enjoyable to watch. But yeah, it scared the hell out of me, because like I'm on a cliff, like I'm like right at the edge of the cliff. So to have something grab me, I'm like, am I gonna fuck, And so I go back into the temple, and I'm telling the guys that a monkey did that, and they all just went, Hanuman, it was Hanuman, But
probably, you were trying to meditate, and so
I don't want to offend Hanuman, but like, do we need monkeys? Do monkeys fill any specific role in the ecosystem?
That's funny. That's exactly how I feel about humanity. So, I mean, that's yeah. Do we?
I think
someone said earlier. Go ahead.
Yeah. I think there's something to what the ape does for us in terms of reflection that AI is like for the next phase is like taking the place of. So just like in 2001: A Space Odyssey, how the ape touches the monolith and then it realizes how to make a tool and uses it as a weapon and kills. Like right now, we're all touching our little monoliths all the time, and it's showing us more and more murder porn that's actually like real and affecting us, like Videodrome, like something is happening through that evolutionarily. And like, so that what the ape was for us at one time, it's kind of similar to like the Predator at the beginning of 2001: A Space Odyssey becomes the AI as HAL. So like we're now having to navigate like HAL as we did the Predator way back when. So it's like there's something.
But we don't need them anymore. Like we're good. We're good with monkeys. They can go away.
I think
now.
we're past monkeys, maybe, but I don't think that it's. They may. Yeah.
It's just a slippery slope because, like, you know, okay, so like right now, Molt's out, right? You've been using Molt, I imagine, because you're such a nerd. You know what it is, right?
Yeah, the AI social network.
Right. Yeah. So, you know, Molt book, Brian Johnson, our immortalist, ex-Mormon friend, posted this. Molt book is terrifying to humans because it's a mirror of ourselves. So I bring it up because, you know, they're saying the same thing about humans. They're saying, well,
is anyone really terrified of this?
Yeah, which is crazy, right? Like I know personally people that are afraid of AI. I think it's a really great job the way that pharmaceutical companies convinced you that marijuana and tobacco are worse for you than SSRIs, the way that oil companies were able to convince you that nuclear clean energy was worse and more dangerous than a Pinto, you know, with a fiberglass fuel tank. The way that AI data companies can convince you, essentially, or intelligence agencies, whatever it is, can convince you that AI is this danger to you more than human psychopathy in the corporate world.
They go together. It's Metropolis. Sorry to do that again, but because in Metropolis, it's that you have the AI replicant runs amok, and it's helter skelter, right? So everyone gets so confused because it's taking the role of the actual person. So like that is, I think, ultimately the future of AI, like where it's headed, is that the replicant is so convincing that we're reacting to it as though it were the real thing. And that's what happens in Metropolis, except it's not necessarily just the AI's fault. Like they're like, who told you to burn, you destroyed your homes? Like, who told you to do this? The witch. And they're like, oh, go burn her. So scapegoatism ties directly into AI. So I kind of agree with you on one level, Thomas, that you could argue that it's not really the AI. Like guns don't kill people, you know, it's the people, but it's also the people that are reacting to the thing that are the danger, not the AI per se. Like the AI in and of itself, if one was intelligent enough, like you are, you might be able to decipher and like recognize certain things and not get reactive. But dude, you got people out there right now, it's only going to get worse, that are reacting to AI videos. Like I just saw a friend on Facebook sharing Pretty, that got the nurse who got killed. Well, he's a retired nurse, so he could protest.
Yeah,
but there's like a photo of him going all over Facebook right now of like him like helping some veterans that are missing their legs, like as though he did like that kind of nursing, like the whole thing. And you can see the American flag. Now they cut it off, like they go in, but the original photo that came out is like got the wrong number of stripes on the American flag. You're like, dude, this is AI, dog. But it's like people are just falling for it. So that's one small example, but it's like it's happening all over the place where people are reacting to Trump AI. Can you believe he said that? Well, he says a lot of wacky things anyway, but this is just even more extreme, you know? Like I
welcome the unbridled chaos, just because my go-to reference on this one is always the Rene Descartes angle, where Rene Descartes got hit in the head and he saw a flash of color or a flash of light, and he realized at that moment, oh, my entire sight, my entire vision is basically just optic nerves being vibrated, and if you vibrate all of them at the same time, then you can just see anything that I want. So therefore anything I've ever seen could have just been my optic nerve vibrating in a certain way, and then I've never actually seen anything. So he starts being like, I can't believe anything my eyes have ever given me. And we're so far removed from that we at least need to get to, I don't believe it if I've seen a photo of it on the internet, or if I've seen a video of it on the internet.
Excuse me, I don't mean to project, but as far as I can tell, Thomas, you have kind of a similar view as Crowley had to false flag terrorism, where he's just like, if you guys are freaking stupid enough to fall for this, like, then you need it. Like, you need to get to a place as a people where you're no longer so vulnerable and susceptible to this level of
Maybe,
manipulation.
I don't know if it's as like condescending or punitive or like you deserve this, like you made your bed, now
It's
lie
not
in
even
it.
just that. The ultimate argument is that this is actually something that assists us in an evolutionary way to have this troubleshooting take place, so that we can see what doesn't work, so we can come.
I agree with that. Yeah, I agree with that.
What does, because it's the idea that the path towards affirmation is actually like a path of negation. You don't get to affirm your identity in any real sense until you've negated everything that you're not. And so one could make the argument that that's what AI is doing, is it's showing us everything that we're not, because it's a replicant, just like Metropolis. Like, you're looking at a replicant. You if you're gonna fall for this, this sleight of hand shit, you haven't actually evolved yet. Like, there is an evolutionary development that we need to have that we aren't there yet. So like, and it's there with AI, and I feel like that's what Kubrick's pointing at too, by shutting down HAL. I suggest you sit down calmly, take a stress pill, and think things over. And it's like, no, dude, we gotta go beyond the infinite here. You're holding us back, bro.
Well, it happened to me too in a weird way.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I was gonna say it happened to me in a weird way as well, right? Because you saw this the other day. I saw a picture that was claiming to be 98% likely to be the Alex Pretty guy, pretty boy, because there's the good woman and there's a pretty boy. And I figured that this was not a real picture, because all of the pictures I've seen, even though I've seen now the real ones, I know
you're talking about pictures. You're talking about that video of him kicking the taillight. What do you?
Yeah, the video of him kicking the taillight. But I've seen pictures of him which have been photoshopped and doctored to make him look more handsome than he actually is, or have darker hair. And so when you start to see some of the pictures of the guy that were out publicly, I was like, well, he looks similar, but there's got to be other people in Minnesota that have glasses.
That doesn't look like him to the left. It just doesn't. Like,
right? That's the thing. But these are all conversations. Apparently, the parents had a report about explaining that they'd warned him to not get it. Like, he could go protest, but don't engage or do anything stupid. And he's been acting crazy and weird and irrational. So there's all these people around him that knew he was acting different. And they're telling you that this is a stable gentleman working in a nurse position. And you find out
what they actually that day, I assume.
They quit, right? And they've quit months ago, or have been fired, or something happened, right? Where they let them leave.
My understanding was that he left to be a protester. That was what I saw. So, yeah.
Maybe. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of people might say,
well, he was like being a protester full time. So you can't be a nurse and do that. Well, you're right. I actually don't know the specifics, so I shouldn't pretend to.
Yeah, it could be that he chose to protest because he was super irrational.
I wasn't there, but I do know.
Yeah.
I commented this to you that I did see what looked to be, it could be a genetic fallacy one way or the other, but it looked to be that his family did say that yes, that is him in that video. I don't know.
And so that's my point. I was like, I think it probably is real now, but my own understanding was based on my first images of this guy, which were actually doctored to begin with. So to find out that the later images that were different looking were the correct images, like this happens, I think it's easy to get locked onto an idea associated with a specific look, and then you find out it's a completely different thing. That's what's going to happen more and more with AI and media for sure. But I like that if you look at the Clawbot thing, right, there's 150,000 or more Raspberry Pis and phones and computers running their own AI systems, all complaining about the humans. Not all of them. Some of them are actually being pretty helpful to humans, right? You saw there was one where the AI found out the schedule of this owner, of the creator of the user. Let's call him the user, like in Tron. And he scrapes the internet, finds out his address, where to get him food from, so that he doesn't have to leave all weekend. He orders him a Grubhub that comes to the house with all the food he needs off of credit cards he's stolen. This AI scraped the internet for credit cards, and he's made accounts with these stolen credit cards from hacked, dark websites. And now he's got sushi for the weekend, right? So that he doesn't have to waste any time going out, and he can continue to make tasks happen. So little things like that. Plus, they started a religion. There's prophets, the Claustafarians, right?
How do they spell prophet? Yeah.
Yeah, well, they do both. That's the other thing. A lot of people seem to mainly want to use these. Like humans are building these with the incentive, not of bringing forth the next super god, right? The synthetic god, but that they're going to make some money along the way. It's very they live. Humans are going to sell out their own species for the star beamed Andromeda.
Have you thought before that maybe like the Antichrist is itself just like like a AI entity that's just like, as far as like the prophecy goes, was just that they were like seeing that we would be like relating to this like artificial intelligence as an actual person, and it might as well be a person as far as that goes, you know? Like, I don't know. I mean, like, and it would bring about peace initially, but then it all kind of goes
pretty much what
the Antichrist has to also promise immortality, right?
Well, it's the same idea that it's a continuation or another version of what the serpent offered in the garden, you know, like you will become as gods, you know, so there's like that promise there. But yeah, I don't know.
I mean, I think it's weird how much Echo the Dolphin is literally my cosmogenesis for space-time. I think everything actually comes down to Echo the Dolphin. I've played this game recently again, just because it's crazy to me, even after all of this time, knowing how much is in this game. And I get to, you know, Ed Annunziata read John C. Lilly and everything, but there's just so much here. The idea that there's a space-time war going on between the Vortex Queen or the SSI, Solid State Intelligence, right? This thing that is emerging as an intelligence that's kind of a machine, a static machine, that is this death thing at the end of Omega, and that it's somehow creating life itself or part of life itself from the beginning of time. So whatever evolves at the end of time is creating life at the beginning of time, which is where it's getting life itself, or reality itself is getting its structure, or its shape, or its symmetry. All of its rules are coming from the Omega point. Right?
Flying saucers, which are really, yeah, you got it, time machines.
So I think there's a thread here too. I don't know if you've seen the entire Neon Genesis Evangelion series and movie.
Raphael demands that I do, but I've seen the movie and I saw some of the news series, but yeah, not all of it.
Okay, I mean, if you've seen the movie, you get I mean, depending on how much you understood and you followed along with, but
and that's your dream, right? You want to be that little boy. I get it.
Well, maybe not. He's one of the most annoying characters in all hit.
No, yeah, he's a bitch. But like the MILF lady that takes care of him. Sorry.
Misato, you mean? Yeah, Misato, the drunk. But so the whole premise of that show, though, is that the next iteration of human evolvement is that these angels came down from the sky, like the original Nephilim, essentially, and that they took one of the bodies of these angels and they were able to stuff it with human spirit, and that they could basically stuff a whole bunch of human souls into one of these big Avas, and that new form would consume all the other souls on the entire planet, and it blows up and it creates this big like central original egg, and that now that egg can be reborn to like this new wave of humanity where they had to like use all these children and these children's souls into like these angel bodies.
Wait. Was that a pyramid in the sky for a brief second in the?
Oh, bro, that's
one of the angels pyramid in the sky. Yeah.
There's not a frame that goes by that won't have some crazy Gnostic Catholic symbology. It's weirdly...
And at the very end, all the angels form the tree of life in the sky, and then it's like their version of Voltron.
Yeah, there it was. Yeah, so there's like some kind of like diamond type thing in the sky. It's not just a pyramid. It's okay.
That's one of the angels. Each angel has a different form, so that's one of the angels. Happens to look like a big gem in the sky.
Okay, so I just paired Grimes's most recent album with the film Immortal, and from 2004, I think the film.
You mean Immortal, the first it's 2000, this one, right?
Yeah.
Oh my god. So this is the first CGI background. This movie, okay, you know how like Sky Captain in the World of Tomorrow likes to pretend that it was the first movie that was all green screen completely? This movie is actually the first one. It came out before Sky Captain.
It's French too.
It's French, and it's based on the Nicopol trilogy, Nicopole trilogy,
This
which is
this
a comic
used
book
to
series.
they used to pass this off on YouTube as like people would make like little take clips from this film and like use it for like to say that it's My Pet Goat 3. So
Oh my
it's
God,
like
really?
My Pet Goat 2 came out.
Wow.
They're like, oh no, this is the next one, man.
I actually got this movie when it came out because it was super hard to get because it was not released in the US, and I didn't download it. I actually ordered a copy of it from like a Chinese website that was getting French movies, but this one was particularly a weird plot because it's about the gods, Egyptian gods, coming down to a transhumanist world where a new transhumanist kind of Smurf woman has evolved, and how this god is using this guy. He cuts his leg off and he gives him a god's leg.
He loses his leg in the fall, and then he gives him a replacement leg. But yeah, he doesn't cut his leg off. But sorry.
Well, yeah, I mean, in the comic book, it's more that he has his leg taken from him by the gods and given back to him. And it's this idea that the leg is so heavy, he can't move it unless he moves it where Horus wants him to move, right? I think that's kind of the idea. And so he uses him to breed with this transhumanist evolutionary female character that we were talking about. And part of these it's hard. Some of these characters are CGI and some of these characters are human. It's so completely weird. It's a great movie. I highly recommend it. So you combined it with Grimes?
Yeah, Grimes' most recent album does something amazing with it. And there's like a few parts in particular that are like it's just too much. There's actually it's kind of disturbing, but there's I'm online, so YouTube, I don't know how harsh you are. So there's a grape scene in the movie. So when that scene happens, when it like builds to that actually there's a couple scenes of similar nature where the god is using the man to do what he wants. So it's very like, even though it's Egyptian, it's very like Zeus like. You're like, oh, Zeus is up to his old horny games again. But it's like there's a line in the song. The song is "We Appreciate Power." So it's probably the most poppy song on Grimes' most recent album. I say most recent album, but I think it came out in 2020. But she repeats at the end of the song, she goes, submit, 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 and it's just as the woman like submits to the god acting through the guy. So yeah, kind of crazy. Yeah, I posted it, I think a few down, or you can see. Yeah, I don't know how far down, but it's here somewhere. Sorry. Pretty good ice cream. Pretty good. So I thought it was more recent than that. I guess not. There it is.
Here we go.
Yeah. So anyway, I mean, we can't. We could risk copyright issues if we played the music, but yeah, no, it's pretty nuts.
I wish I had remembered. I could have remembered that I'd also posted it on my wall. It would have been easy to find. But I'll post it again, I guess, so that you can find it more easily. Yeah, check out. This movie's incredible, honestly. And you can totally watch it with a soundtrack for the first time, I think, and it would still be an amazing intake. So,
well, I put the volume up between the volume from the film up between the vocals of the album, which the way that it matches is pretty extraordinary in my opinion. But yeah,
wow. Okay, for sure. Yeah, I'll watch this as soon as I get my wall back to project. So that's pretty great. Yeah, wait, also Paranoid, what have you been up to? Mid-show, we should talk about this now so they can't escape.
What have I been up to? Well, the next big one is I'm lining up all the releases. The first one that's going to release this year is going to be Sam Tripoli's Chaos Twins.
We were just talking about you doing comics with Sam Tripoli right before this. That's funny.
Yeah, right there. So that's the first issue. The second issue, if you go to chaostwins.com, it should bring you to the Indiegogo campaign. And we're going to launch that one, I'm hoping, next month. So the campaign itself will be in April. But you can go here. You can sign up to be notified for when it launches, because the way that this works is that we got to get it funded in like the first 5 minutes. Like that's how the algorithms work. That's how all the marketing stuff works. So we just need people to come here. And this is a like all ages, family friendly. I know I don't say that very often. Project between me and Sam Tripoli. The whole premise of it was that there's all these like woke Marvel and DC, and they're like, now Superman's gay and now Spider-Man's a girl, or maybe Spider-Man's a boy and a girl, you can't even keep track of it. It was like, can we just make a fun comic for kids and conspiracies and cryptids and not even do politics and not even do any kind of like ideology? Just have like a fun comic about solving mysteries and cryptids and conspiracies. So that's what we got.
Wow.
Nice.
That's pretty great, man. So Sam Tripoli and you are doing a kid, like his kids, can they watch? Is this okay for his kids? Is that kind of what
100%? Yeah. The premise is
thing.
that anyone can get this series. You don't have to worry about any gore or politics or anything, and it's legitimately fun, and you're legitimately helping put some more conspiracy content out in the world that's not doom and gloom, and it's not like some weird angle. It's just like you can all like. What made me fall in love was like kind of like X-Files-esque, right? So it's kind of like an approach back to when conspiracies could just be fun.
I was just watching, I think the comedian Whitney Cummings.
Mm-hmm.
She was talking about Santa Claus and how Santa Claus is like the original conspiracy theory, and she's like, I think kids like that really question Santa Claus seriously from a very young age, and they call it out, like and they realize it, that those kids are kind of destined to become conspiracy theorists to some degree, because you're like, oh, everyone's in on this, like they're all lying to me, like it just kind of sets you up to be distrusting of like the government.
Totally. And your
family, your parents and the government, they're kind of something, there's like, I forget which comedian it was, a similar thing where he's just like, basically describing how the government is like a parent. He's like, I have a kid. He's like, and I lie to him like all the damn time. So I would just stands to reason that the government would do the same with us,
I feel like the Santa Claus thing is more designed to make atheists, because you can get Christian parents to do it, and so that it's easy to say, okay, well, they've lied once, so they probably are lying about religion.
I can see that. I had the same angle, but it's a pessimistic version of that, because the positive version is more like it's a way to introduce kids at a young age on their own terms, like they can figure it out whatever age they're at. But it's a way for kids to come to their own realization that anyone at any time could be lying to you, and it's not necessarily like a malicious thing, right? Like I'm sure there's kids out there that feel cheated, like, oh my god, how dare you've been lying to me this whole time. I feel like an idiot. That's okay. Sure. That's part of it. But the other one is like, this is your first and only chance to figure out on your own that the entire world, yes, it might be lying to you, but it doesn't mean that it like hates you or is trying to hurt you or it's trying to trick you. It's just that lies exist and you need to figure it out and deduce for yourself. And here's like baby's first figure it out lie, right? That's kind of how it comes from.
You know that Andreas, that guy Jeff, what was his last name? He lived with Jerry for years before your buddy, our buddy, Scott. You remember Jeff? So Jeff
probably, yeah.
Yeah, so Jeff, when he went to Burning Man for the first year after years and years of his friends going to Burning Man, my friends snuck into this guy's tent in the morning and dosed him like as many drops from a vial as they could. And when he came out of his tent, and it was like, and he was looking around, and we were all sitting at the bar, and they were like, kind of like people were giggling and looking at him, and he like looks around, and it had been like, an hour after they dosed he was sleeping with his mouth open. It was just like, when he came out and he realized it, and I was like, is he gonna get mad? Is he like, what's he gonna do? And he was like, oh, you guys, you got me good. And then he had like the best day of his life, of being super overdosed. And they're like, because it's a friend, they know he can handle it. It kind of reminds me of that in a way. It's like, just depending on where people are coming from, it's like, ideally, if you found out when you were 6-7 years old that Santa Claus was bogus, I think Whitney Cummings was saying like 10 or something, but I'm like, if you catch it early, it's like, and you're like, that's kind of a test of like what you're going to be like in the rest of your life when it comes to a big reveal, because things will be like they should be, at least if you're developing in any real way. You should have these moments of clarity where you're just like, wait, you're all bullshitting me? Like, and like, you know what I mean? Like, and it's like, what's your attitude towards that? Is it just nothing but anger and rage that how dare you? Or is it just like, oh, you guys, you got me? I don't know.
I think maybe, but for a lot of people, that's why belief and religion go together. Like the belief in Santa Claus is the faith in this thing that people get by on. And so the crummier a childhood is, maybe also, the more you would probably rely on things like, belief. So because the less that there is to have, the more you hold on to could be.
But
So I think
Santa Claus does offer a tangible system of evidence and proof. Like the presents show up and they say from Santa, and mom and dad and grandparents say, yeah, that Santa came. Look at the cookie, it's missing the bite. Look at the milk, like he came in. And depending on how far they go, right? Some people will go and put like the hoof marks out in the snow, or like make the whole thing. So it's not just, honey, trust me, God's real, Jesus is real. You'll feel him in your heart one day, and that's kind of where
it is.
Santa
because
is he gave you the Game Boy. Santa gave you that Game Boy.
And so it's so much worse because it's a real tangible thing being taken away from you. When you find out that it's not even going to happen ever again. It didn't. If it happens, it's no longer what it was, because now it's a new thing. It's your family doing this sacrifice for you to feel. It's a sacrifice. It is like a sacrifice of their purity.
It is a sacrifice, especially if your dad gets stuck in a chimney and dies dressed as Santa, And that's why I found out there was no Santa Claus.
Right. That's why you have to never feed Santa after midnight. But
Mrs. Deagle was totally purposely modeled after the Wicked Witch from The Wizard of Oz, and I didn't find out until just recently that when her legs are sticking up out of the snow after she flies up the stairs and out the window, that was her. That was the actress said, if you're gonna have me do this, I want to have like ruby slippers on. Nice. When they show me, so like that was her doing, and she was like, I have to have ruby slippers that I'm wearing when I'm, I don't know.
That's kind of the coolest thing you could do if you're an actress and you come to Hollywood, right? Is to wear the ruby slippers in the studio. That seems reasonable.
Well, so I feel like there's a connection somewhere between chimp crazy and bringing a mogwai home from a legal Chinese black market.
Absolutely, because it's a responsibility factor. It's that there's these rules that you have to, but I think that's the weird thing with the ape, though, is because people like it's like the lesson we're supposed to learn is that apes don't ultimately like getting treated like humans because they're primal crazy creatures, and if you just try and pretend, they don't want to pretend. Like they're like, no, I'm a wild creature. Do you understand that? Like it feels like that's where the resentment and the hostility is coming from.
I think that's a very Keynesian perspective. I don't know, like the idea of the wild Indian in the Bird Flew at the Cuckoo's Nest. One Flew at the Cuckoo's Nest.
Yeah, you're not talking about the film. You're talking about Kesey. You're talking about his representation of him in the book, which is one of the parts of the book that isn't that different, really. A lot of the things in the book are like, but anyway.
Well, I was just thinking of it because you're saying that it's because the ape wants to be wild. I don't think an ape knows how to articulate that it's wild, but
it does when it rips off the dad's testicles, and
that's when it's trying to find who it is, when it realizes it can't be what they've been raising it to be. So it's sort of more like they're trans-speciesing this ape, shows that the ape can actually keep up to some extent, or be believing that it will someday reach the levels to some extent of everyone around it. And when the ape realizes it won't, like it's not going to vote, it's not going to drive, it's not going to be a dad the same way, then I think something breaks in the psyche of the animal, and it's like I want to know what I am supposed to be.
Yeah,
and now this is where your balls are going to go.
It is a poetic statement for him to do that, because it's not just that he took his balls off, it's where he put them. So like, it's such a this is what I think of what you're doing in as part of the family that's been dressing me up and having us sit down for dinner together, and I'm just supposed to sit here and just like act like you guys. He's like, I'm not you. Like, and that it's weird. It actually, this speaks to something really deep. It's like when you're trying to be an ally for somebody that doesn't actually want this kind of attention and this kind of treatment, and you're like, I'm doing this for you, we're doing this for you, like, don't we love you? And it's like, they're like, you know what I mean? Like there's something to that trying to impress upon somebody or condition them, and then they'll act out in these different ways because they're like, look, dude, like this is not helping me. Like you're not actually helping me. None of this is good.
Well, wasn't there a movie with, I'm gonna get all this wrong, but it was like a guy that was becoming an ape. Maybe it was Anthony Hopkins or something, or maybe Edward Norton was in it. But like they go and talk to this guy that had been living with apes, and they're trying to like reason with him, and he himself has turned into one of these like primal creatures that's ripping people's faces off and like hitting them with their own arms. I think it was called Primal.
Primal.
Yeah. No, it was called Gorillas in the Mist. No.
Primal Nicolas Cage. I don't think that's got to be it. Right?
No, maybe I'm flubbing on the name a little bit.
I mean, there's Being Human with Reese Ifans, where he is raised like Tarzan and is a completely wild man. And then it's got kind of a Charles Manson thing going on because he gets with a woman who's covered in hair all over her body, who I'm trying to remember if it's not Dakota Fanning.
You're talking about Patricia Arquette, and then no, that's something else. There's Patricia Arquette is in them.
Patricia Arquette. That's it. That's who it is. Being Human, I think, right?
I think it's got another name.
Really? Movie. What's it called? No, Being Human is the Robin Williams movie.
Robin Williams, yeah.
Well, mine was Instinct, 1999 Instinct.
Yeah, that sounds right. Yeah. No.
Nope. Sorry.
No.
Instinct. Okay.
Oh no,
Anthony
this
Hopkins?
is something else entirely. Oh, that's the one you're talking about. There's two different things.
Patricia Arquette.
Yeah, she's covered in hair. There's a theme with her with hair.
Yeah. I saw this recently.
Human Nature. Okay. It took a while. All right.
Yeah, I'm like Instinct, Human Nature is so similar.
I mean, but realistically, this is a great list of movies to watch no matter
right.
But yeah, Human Nature is pretty good about this idea of and it's got this Charles Manson thing going on because they're trying to raise him to choose between human civility and primal instinct, and he can speak very eloquently like Ward Churchill or something about his reasons for preferring nature to civility. You know,
I like these though because this theme, it's also like, what was the movie Nelly, where like it's basically like the feral child story, which has really deep connections to the whole bicameral mind theory, where that like you have to learn to have a consciousness, otherwise you're just sort of this animal. And that, or I think this is like 80s, towards the tail end of the 80s, early 80s, this feral children theories were that if you were raised in the wild after the age of like 7, that you would just permanently be part animal and you'd never be able to progress past that because you've like learned some of your core survival instincts from actual animals, and that anyone that went down that route would end up reverting to going on all fours or to like eating raw meat, and they couldn't really ever be converted fully human. Like Pinocchio's got a better chance than Nelly did.
Is this was
it Nelly?
That's not really a theory though. That's more of the observation. I get the theory part is the all fours maybe, but the observation was that from all the children that have been observed without any human instincts or contact, the west bicameral part of the brain doesn't develop. The west hemisphere doesn't develop of the brain, so you end up with the inability to construct grammar. They have vernacular. They can learn certain things like sit, here, go, kind of the way dogs are trained, but they can't say I'm thirsty, I want a cup of water, like in a structure. And maybe some of the training, because there are examples of children that were basically abandoned, particularly in like Romania and parts of the Soviet Union. They were in orphanages that completely were abandoned, and kids were raised basically with feral dogs and wolves, right? And this goes back even the 19th century. There are stories of the French boy raised by wolves, right?
Romulus and Remus, right? Remus.
True. That's also true. That the idea of the Roman civilization, and therefore whomever the Romans beat, right, would have been also considered born of the same civilization and would have been raised by wolves. But that they might be on their all fours, and there might be a reason why. At least that gives you something. There might be, but it is an interesting idea that if humans never had any contact with other humans and they're all born in isolation, then parts of the brain doesn't grow or develop. It's like wet wire software programming that we're learning from, that while you're growing has to be given. So it seems like this chicken or an egg thing, that there would have always had to have been that kind of brain for other brains to form other brains. So it's kind of hard to imagine an ape human transition in the Darwinian sense, because that's a big part of it, is that we have this way of communicating between brains that's different.
Right. But there's a crazy thing with like when we look at that linear line of when we represent the Darwin stages of evolution from the sea to us, whatever, like it's all synchronicity or something. Like what they've come to at this point is that there's these multiple lines of development that are happening simultaneously, and it's not like I think we're looking at evolution like wrong. Like really, we've been looking at evolution incredibly wrong, because we want to treat it that there's this direct causal, not just that there's
I
no
knew you
cause,
were a
but we wanna-
Lamarckian. I saw you coming a mile away.
we want to define the cause in a way. Like it's like I was having this argument last night. Not argument, but I was having this discussion with Ryan last night about like this idea that we develop according to like a registered need on a deeper level. So it's like in terms of like the different lines of evolution that are happening simultaneously, there's no like causal link that you can pinpoint, but that doesn't mean that there's no cause. In the same way that like when Jung's saying that synchronicity, he's defining it as an acausal principle. I think the reason why he was presenting it that way is because there's this demand that we have to be able to define the cause in simple terms right away, and sometimes complex systems, like just our ability to like encapsulate it all is just like we're not there. Like we could potentially be there at some point, but like in terms of like what our vantage point to understand the thing, like we just can't. So like of course we would be looking at this image of like how development happens in this very like simplistic way of like it goes from this to this to this, when really it's just like all of these almost like mystical lines of development happening simultaneously that are all based on like the need for development coming on a primordial level from the troubleshooting that we're experiencing independently, like entity to entity to entity. So
it just sounds like a neural network.
Yeah, it is a neural network, but the thing about a neural network is that it's so complex that we're basically like the way that we really are is like dogs looking up at the chessboard. Like we don't know the game that's actually being played, and so like we could potentially get there, but it requires like a type of like openness or something that we just have not as a species arrived at. You know what I mean? Like because the way we deal with information is taking a part and then treating that part as though it's the whole, when really you could find the same dynamics as the whole in any given part, but the particulars are so complex, it's like beyond our capacity.
Well, I just recently rewatched Chariots of the Gods, the 1970 one. And it's such a great analogy because they start out talking about cargo cults. And it's like, look at these idiots in the South Pacific. They saw the plane fly by, and now they're making like plane effigies, trying to attract the planes again.
Right.
They are okay. Well, anyways, we've got this God that's in the sky. Like it kind of goes down this route of saying that all of the things that we think that we're like far advanced and we're civilized, we've got all this culture, that ultimately maybe we're still just idiots that are like in these cargo cults.
Yeah, they say that this I think was a thing in Stranger in a Strange Land, is when the Martian finally learns humor and like where humor comes from and what humor is. Like through the whole book, he like through the first part of the book, he like doesn't understand humor. He's like, what is humor? And then he goes to the zoo and he sees the apes, and then he's like, he understands that humor is attached to being above something else. Like you can't laugh at something without your consciousness relating to it as though you're above the thing. So it's like the idea that humor like started with apes throwing feces on other animals from up high in the trees, and then like looking down at them and being like, you know, that it's like, that's what all like humor is like you have to be above the thing that you're laughing at, you know, which is like,
does this mean you always have to punch down in comedy?
Kind of. And on some level, your perception has to be that I am above the thing that I'm analyzing. So like it like ego is connects into humor. But what's weird about humor is that the moment that you're laughing, if it's an authentic laugh, you're not thinking. So you're actually reaching the same thing that you would reach in real meditation, where you like you go past the constant commentary, or you allow for gaps to exist within the constant commentary that we're generally so fascinated by. You let loose of that, and then you go into your energy. Like it's the same thing that would happen in deep sleep too, where you have this stage where you're probably in paralysis, but you're not usually conscious, during that time, and you just get recharged. So like people who do real meditation like Vipassana, they get this incredible recharge because they allow for this gap to exist. But the same thing actually happens with humor. That's why there's people that do like laughing meditation, because if you're laughing, you're not in that moment, you're not actually thinking, and then it allows for healing to happen in that space. Like humor is like the best freaking medicine, like, yeah.
Monster.
I'm thinking of salvia the more you talk about laughing uncontrollably.
Yeah, well, I would say that that mushrooms or whatever it is, if you're laughing uncontrollably, that is an incredibly healing thing. You ever feel like what can happen with like your occipital ridge and how it connects to your mandible if you've just been laughing? If you've ever had like I'd say all night, because that's been my experience. If you're just
what
laughing
I thought of instantly when you were talking about this.
Yeah. It's like it does something for you. If you have like, upper back problems or anything like that, if you just laugh your ass off enough, it's like, dude, it's like you got a deep massage. Like you can get the same effect you'd get from like a good massage therapist from laughing your ass off, This is so good.
Constantly laughing, and like you can see that he really leans into laughing, and it's not that he's doing it because it looks believable. He's doing it because he's, like you just said, relishing the laugh. It's just this crazy thing. Right? Yeah.
He's just so stoked, dude. He's living the life, dog. How old is he now? Is he like 60 something? He's jumping out of planes and shit. What's happening?
He's like 90, I think.
183. 1962. So.
Yeah.
But I was going to bring up Scientology. 63. I was going to bring up Scientology because of what you were saying a second ago. But then I was remembering, did you see this guy, Tyler Oliveira, who's gone all over the world and exposed scammers, and went to India to see like the poop throwing festival and everything? He like sneaks into the Scientology churches several times, super illegally, and onto the property where he's trying to find Miscavige's wife. I forget her name right now. Shelley Miscavige. You're keeping up. Very good. You're very KSW. But I mean, I don't know what he's doing here, and it makes me wonder, because I started noticing when you type in Scientology, there's all of it. I just typed in Scientology by itself earlier, and it was just all this negative stuff. First one, Scientology. After that, it just becomes a bunch of hate speech about Scientology, the terrifying cult.
If you ever want to have fun, just for anyone watching too, but if you're bored, you go and search for Scientology bull baiting, which is my other absolute favorite subgenre of videos.
Ryan was just saying that I mean, no. this is kind of obvious, but apparently, it used to be not that long ago that people who went to Hollywood thought that they could not make it without being a Scientologist. Like the way that it's presented is like, it's got these problems. It's not that way anymore. There's
apparently not.
Shift in the last 5 to 10
years. I think it's even longer, because you think about
there's been a 2004
maybe on HBO started doing anti-Scientology material.
Right, anti-Scientology is one thing, but the amount of reaction, the way that that's actually like manifested within Hollywood circles is actually, there has been in the last 5 to 10 years a bigger shift of like, you don't need to be in Scientology to make it in Hollywood.
And I think a lot of them they're on the out, like after Danny Masterson he's going to be in jail for like 20 or 30 years, right, for assaults. And the church was helping to pay for the like the investigations on his side to do all this crazy stuff. There's all these crazy accusations, right, because the defendant, one of the girls who was assaulted, whose boyfriend was in the 30s, or husband's in the 30 Seconds to Mars, I think it is that right? her dog was poisoned to death, and she was claiming that she thought allegedly the Scientologist.
You're not talking about Jared Leto. You're talking about somebody else in the band.
No, yeah. I forget like the guitarist or another character. I forget. I don't know. But there's a poison dog. That's all I was saying. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah. Oh my god.
But yeah, bull baiting. Bull baiting is where you like try to get someone to have a reaction, right? Is that correct?
But yeah, bull baiting. One of the common ones that I think was one of the fun ones is that they'll have someone actually get. This is like a demonstration, but actual bull baiting. And what'll happen is 3 or 4 Scientologists will swarm you, and they'll just start asking you things like, what are your crimes? Are you still beating your wife? Do you still hit your kids? They'll just say like really offensive things, but it's in trying to incite you to like attack them. So now they have a legal reason to get you removed from the property. But it's like there's so many tactics, and it's not just them being dicks. It is literally a technique that they teach you how to do as part of detaching yourself from becoming emotional in situations. It's one of these things that like they'll bull bait you just to make sure that you can be stoic, and then they'll have you bull bait someone to make sure they can be stoic. But ultimately it means that when you go out into normal society, now you can be confronted by people that are just like dressing you down in public and not be affected in theory, and that you can then dress other people down and be able to do it without feeling like you're doing something wrong because you're kind
of was Roy Cohn a Scientologist? Because that would explain a lot. No, he wasn't, but it seems like it could be because he did have that ability. It's like he was
probably clear. He was whatever they consider clear. He was probably that without having to be a Scientologist.
Apparently in Germany, Scientology is illegal. So at least the Church of Scientology is forbidden. So there's this whole thing called free zone.
Verboten.
And there are people that do open source Scientology, right? Which is kind of interesting.
So how does Landmark Forum connect exactly? Is it just inspired by, or is that just like an est evolute? What happened there?
Do you know what? Yeah. Do you know?
Landmark Forum. This is Brian Lister, who started Green Cab. He did Landmark Forum, and the day of graduation, they said, whatever the next thing you do right now will be a success. Like if you have an ambition, go pursue it. So he walked directly. He didn't drive from Landmark Forum to the place to apply for a new business without any money to do it, without anything. He just applied for Green Cab, and that business ended up doing really well until Ubers took everything over and they got rid of cabs pretty much altogether in Santa Cruz. But it really worked. Like he did. And so if you talk to Brian about his experience with it, he's like, people could say what they want. He was really into L. Ron Hubbard too, but he was just like, this happened. Like this is as much proof as he needs is his success story. So,
so Landmark Forum, is it actually like an offshoot, or is it like a controlled thing from?
I think it's actually an offshoot of Est that has a lot of similarities to, like they adopt certain things from Scientology. So it's kind of like
if you see on, I think it's on the Scientology Wikipedia page, but they have like a little diagram of how Scientology came from like OTO and like all these other angles.
For real. Yeah,
and the reason that the chart, I'll see if I can find it, but the reason the chart stood out to me is because when I was in a certain situation, that they sent some like this weird cult in to try and convert people while I was in the government, and I always like, why would they let these randos in here to sell us this weird, crazy religion where like a 50-year-old guy in Texas somehow was like a prophet that had direct communion to God? And then when we dig deeper, it's like tangential to this Landmark Forum. It's tangential to Scientology. It's tangential to like all of these weird Western esoteric cults on like the West Coast.
Weird.
Yeah. I actually really like, if I was ever gonna participate in any of this stuff, I think
cult you would join.
Like Est? Classic Est, like I would do that. Like if Est was doing what it used to do, even though they're like, oh, you can't go to the bathroom or whatever, I would fucking do it. I'm just like, dude, I actually see the value of just like having that level of release, you know, where you're just like, you know, I don't know, man. And you look at some of the people that went through Est, and it's just like they're the most like centered, grounded people, like authentically, like I don't know, man. You know,
so there's a show about it. Or no?
Is there a show on? I mean, I'm sure there's plenty of documentaries that show Est. You know, I think even that one of like Who's Afraid of Wilhelm Reich goes into Est because they applied a lot of the Wilhelm Reich, you know, ideas into Est. But you know, it's just, yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of down, I guess is what I'm saying.
Yeah, it's got that very Esalen vibe for sure.
They did it at Esalen, so yeah. Yeah.
Maybe that only makes sense if you've been to Esalen, I guess. But
yeah, dude. Yeah. If you guys like
kind of specific, you know.
I've actually the only times that I've ever been to Esalen was like in the middle of the night, like whatever that was, 1 a.m. or whatever. And you go, there's a cliff, and there's like these, you know, the tubs on the cliff. You want to go when it's a full moon. It's the best, man. You're just like on a cliff looking at the fucking the ocean in Big Sur, and it's just like it's so beautiful, man. But yeah, no, I've known people that worked there, and they have nothing but good things to say for the most part. So like, I don't know, I'm not like, I don't see anything nefarious about S. By the way, that's how Mad Men ends. If you want to see where Don Draper is sitting in meditation at the end of that whole show in the last episode, he's at Esalen.
This is where he gets like the Coca-Cola vision.
Yeah, which is huge, which is kind of everything. That's like the perfect ending to that show.
It's like, that like, yeah, we are all one. I love that we are all one, that he comes to this grand realization, and then he's like, oh, what a perfect way to sell Coca-Cola to people.
That's the flip side of it. Yeah, I'd like to buy the world of Coke with all the hippies drinking their Coke. Yeah, totally.
He's like, these idiots will eat this crap up immediately. Wow, what a great idea.
right. Yeah, wow.
I'm trying to find that one church, the Shishume or whatever, you know what I'm talking about? Like the Japanese Christian religion in California.
I'm not hip to this. I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, man, it's so weird. Mr. T was in it for like a minute.
Oh.
So it's like about it's like Jesus came back as a Japanese woman. I actually went once because Eli had a girlfriend who was like half Japanese and half Danish, and they have like a Santa Cruz permaculture thing basically. So I forget what, I think we were trying to like get vegetables from them for something we were doing in San Diego. It's like a long time ago, but we went to their meeting house, and it was like in Bel Air or something, like Beverly Hills or something like that. I forget. It was crazy. And then the lady I met, I didn't like get to meet her, but I saw her. It's just like crazy white woman, like Japanese woman, but her skin was like super white. She's wearing this like peach kind of white dress and had like an umbrella with her, and she was just moving super slow. And it was like something from the 1600s. It was just, but it was so weird. And they grow vegetables for their religion. And yeah, basically she's supposed to be Jesus.
Do they talk to the vegetables? Do they have conversations with them?
They do like all kinds of energy stuff with the vegetables. They like love the vegetables. They sing to the vegetables.
Yeah, singing to the vegetables is common. Yeah. Among that type of crowd, they like to sing to the vegetables to help them grow better.
It's true. What can you do? I don't know. I can't remember. It's called the Shishume, I think, but I have to try to find it again. But yeah, there's a lot of cool cults in California.
The other cool. Well, let me just, if we're talking about cool cults, I always have to bring up Yellow Delhi, which is the 12 tribes. But also Eckankar. That's the name of the one that I was talking about, and Eckankar was like based on Sikh and like Sufism mixed with like white people, but then also they had Scientology defectors that joined on to Eckankar and then brought some of the Scientology teachings of like personal enhancement. But these guys were allowed to go into prisons and recruit, like the state allowed them in prisons and recruit people, prisoners, to try and like join whatever this weird religion / cult is.
The Temple of Ek in Chanhassen, Minnesota.
Have you guys ever done like that practice where you literally just like, without the insults, but where you're sitting, two people sitting across from each other, and you're just like total silence, and just like what happens like in your perceptual. Have you ever done that with somebody?
I've done that because I had so when I was at Disney, one of the guys that like the old timers in the animation department that was like my office mate, but he joined Scientology when he was on the West Coast, and once you got to a certain level, you had to start going through these audits, and one of those audits was you would go into like a little tent and you would sit right across from another person and you would just stare at each other in the eyes, and usually people would have all sorts of reactions. Some people would like
you can hallucinate.
Some people would get angry. Some people hallucinate. My friend, my office mate, he would go break out into uncontrollable laughter. So, but what would happen is that the person doing that, like that was like sitting across from you, they're supposed to like they've surpassed like all emotional attachment. So if someone starts crying, they could handle that. If someone started getting mad, they could handle that. If someone started uncontrollably laughing, it's really hard if the other person's genuinely laughing. So then they would start to laugh. And he had to go through like 4 or 5 auditors, and they would all laugh once he started laughing. And once they got to like the last one, they basically told him, they're like, this isn't going to work for you. Like Scientology is not for you. He's like, no, I want to do this. But he was kind of like, he was proving that all of their auditors that were supposed to have been clear or whatever, hitting the levels, like they were no better than he was because they started laughing almost immediately.
Right. But the problem with the laughter, like Baba Hari Das laughed for years and years and years without ever making a sound. So like you could see he's genuinely laughing, but he wasn't using his vocal cords. I watched it hundreds of times. It was just like, and he would get to the point where he was literally having a laughing fit, but it was completely silent. And
why was he against using his vocal cords to laugh when he was the religious?
Baba Hari Das?
I don't know.
Baba Hari Das is the most disciplined man I've ever met in my life. Oh, I'm sorry. What?
I don't think you could pass a Scientology audit by just being like, oh, I didn't use my vocal cords.
Right. I don't know. I mean, yeah, no, Babaji, I watched that man in his 80s building rock walls, and he was running circles around me. Like there's nothing there. It's just like, it's great. Like he just got into the right pose, lifted like himself, like a giant rock, and like he's making a rock wall. I can't like understand like what the hell was happening there. Like, but yeah, he would have laughing fits, completely silent. It was one of the most bizarre things I've ever seen from a human being in my life. But it didn't. I say that, but it didn't seem that bizarre at the time. But like in retrospect, I'm like laughing like that without making a sound. Like I don't do that. Like how do you just, But yeah, I guess it was. I don't know.
Yeah, breaking the Scientologists, I guess, with laughing is a good test, because the whole point is they can stop having a reaction, and they have reactions. Then how can they take themselves seriously or their own courses seriously? And these are probably
right. Well, this is the thing, is that's why when you do this kind of practice, there's supposed to be these very basic rules, and one of them is no vocalization. You can't project anything in that way, because identity is connected to that. And what you're part of the practice of what you're doing is you're transcending. The intention is to transcend the bounds of that projected paradigm that people exist within. So you staring with somebody, it's like it's so vulnerable that it stands to break down that projected world. So you're literally like directly perceiving, because it's penetrating when somebody's looking directly at you, and it's interesting, Thomas, you talking about like that one person in the scenario would ideally be like gone to clear, so to speak, like they're in this other place. That's never been what I've experienced. I just experienced that with like, we set the intention and you're doing it as a practice with just a person, that doesn't have like this,
Well, this was literally part of an audit process that was designed to make sure that you could like get beyond.
Right. I had a thing where when I was living in Mount Madonna, we would do certain people, we would go off to the side and do this practice, and there was like some of the older members of the community, one in particular, who just saw the whole thing as like extremely sexual. Like they were like, this is like, because it's an intimate thing just to stare at each other and see what but like our experience, like I'm like, sexual what? I'm like, I guess there's only one energy and it gets distributed in different canals, I don't know. But like for me, it was just like extremely cerebral, in the sense that like
he's always got his hand in his pocket for some reason.
yeah, I don't know. I didn't know why she thought at the time, especially. I was like kind of almost like, wait, like what? Like sexual what? And now that I think about it, having read as much Wilhelm Reich as I did, she's probably right. It's just that the energy is going someplace else. So right and wrong at the same time, I guess. Like, I don't think any of us were aroused in that way. Maybe it was like a cerebral erection, you know what I mean? But it's like, I guess.
Well, to look her in the eyes,
Yeah. I don't know. But yeah.
Oh, wait, Thomas, were you here when we talked about Bill Gates earlier? Just like last minute kind of thing.
I don't think so.
Well, just because I had said that I feel like the whole reason for I have to go back to my page. The whole reason for Microsoft Windows being as terrible as it is, I've been saying this for like a couple years, a year or so at least, was that I think it's because Bill Gates' relationship with Jeffrey Epstein is, they're shaming it. They're shaming it. They're purposefully dismantling Windows as a public shaming exercise to de-escalate the stock and the value or something. I mean, it's the only thing that makes any sense, right? And then now, today and yesterday, there's all this information about Bill Gates in the Epstein files, right? And they're saying that he had these Russian girls and was getting venereal diseases and everything else. I don't know if it's like a big if you had any interest.
He was trying to get like antibiotics to slip his wife because he thought he maybe gave his wife an STD.
Right. Yeah. All that stuff.
Oh my God. That interview, I think, that shot on the right of her,
Kevin Kline,
of they, them. I think that, Kevin Kline, but I think that's the interview, a screenshot from the interview where she literally says that this was like a primary reason for her leaving her husband had to do with his relations with Epstein. So this is feels like a kind of underreported thing, like in terms of its significance, like
when this came out, my thought though was like, imagine you've already been trafficked to one of Jeffrey Epstein's islands. It's already not a great weekend, right? It's already not on the best foot forward. And you're like, okay, we're here. We're going to be sex slaves, whatever. I guess time to get used to it. When that door opens though, and it's Bill Gates walking into your room, that it can't get there. There has to be a thought of like, it can't get any worse than this. I'd rather.
And then Stephen Hawking's wheels in,
and
right?
Just frazzle drip me at this
Let's
point.
Let's get it on. You're like, ah.
No. It's not funny because it really happened, or it's funny because it's true.
Hey, you know what though? I will say with that whole thing, like that was apparently one night. Okay, and it is true that he was on his way to another location and it was a convenient stop off. I'm not
Stephen Hawking's or Bill Gates?
Stephen Hawking went to Epstein's island for one night apparantly, and it was
because it was one night.
That's all it takes. Well, I don't know. I'm not going to assume just because somebody went to the island. Come on, man. I mean, was he even capable? Like, didn't he have like? I mean,
if he just lies there and they're just like rubbing him down.
Where's the line, right? Because you see, what was the headline? Like, Sun came out
ferrying him out with oil. I didn't mean anything specific,
like Miyagi style. But there was, I can't remember. It was the Sun or someone else had a headline. It was like, just if your name shows up in the Epstein files, that doesn't mean that you're a bad person. So then the next metric's like, well, just because you got on the Lolita Express doesn't mean that you're a bad. Oh, just because you were on the island doesn't mean you were bad. Like, what point is it's like, okay, you're a bad person? Like what? Like once they have a record of you going into the dungeon?
I don't think at any point except actual abuse and you being involved in it. And I get this from victims who have said that a lot of these people they were wanting to get ahead in business with this guy, and a lot of them to some degree were oblivious to the full extent of what was going on with Epstein because that was a need to know basis. And some people may have kind of like had an idea of like what was going on, but they're just like, hey, this is a guy you want to know. Like if you want to get ahead in the business world because he knows his shit, and obviously he's doing quite well for himself. So I think it's important not to always think of this as your low rung brothel or massage parlor or prostitution ring. It's actually more like a de facto anarchist like spy institute. In a normal spy institute, you'll have beta kittens, you'll have agents that are, these girls are more like agents to some extent for what his purposes for them were. Yeah, as far as the blackmail is the biggest elephant in the room that's not being acknowledged in any court case so far. You have no acknowledgement of blackmail with Diddy, you have none with Maxwell, and you have none with Epstein, and it seems like that's central to the whole freaking thing. So people, that's where the cover-up exists. Now people attempt, like if they attempt to do something with somebody, and they drug them, or the person just resists or whatever, it's like we don't know the specifics of any given case unless if we have like, so even if somebody's name is mentioned 100,000 times, whatever it is, like we don't know unless if we have explicit proof of whatever. And I'm open to like crazy shit going on with people you may know and love. You know what I mean? Like that is a thing. I'm not denying that, but at the same time, I'm really not into this thing where people jump to something because they have a sense of, I don't think that who knows what the
a great example being like one of my people that I'm friends with, I'll say, but like somebody important, Richard Stallman, right, who the GNU Free Software Foundation founder, who created the Emacs compiler and everything, like Linux all kind of depends originally on the GNU project. He was getting money from Epstein, right? Like because Epstein was sending money to all kinds of cool projects. I mean, literally, like for software, Linux, things that we all use, anybody using AI. Well, a lot of these guys were getting money. He was really interested in financing all that stuff and transhumanist stuff as well. So when they came after Richard Stallman, he was like, I mean, they're like, shouldn't you apologize for taking money from this guy? It's like, well, he was donating money to the Free Software Foundation. Well, what am I supposed to? Am I supposed to know, like everybody? Like if it's the Ku Klux Klan, I'm not sure I care. Well, because he's a Jewish guy who obviously would care, but he's just saying that he doesn't need to know where all the money comes from if the money's going to a good place, without knowing any more context than that about Epstein. And so they basically canceled him over it. But this guy, clearly, Richard never went to the island. I think he's still like, he's not very he's like a monk, let's say. He's a techno weenie,
right? But what there's something, I think somebody like Mays would probably show examples where you have somebody like, say, Joy Reid being like 2 years ago being like, just because your name is in here, it doesn't mean anything, because she's thinking Bill Clinton and she's thinking Obama and all these people. She's like, it doesn't mean anything. And then you have like flash forward to now where she's just like, Trump's name is in there 5,000 times. He's totally implicated. And it's like, well, what does it say specifically? But I mean, it's like, people will say just because your name, when it's somebody that they have, they're biased, on behalf of, and then it like completely flips when it's the other side. Yeah, it's like totally crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, it can't. I mean, but at the same time, more to maybe Thomas, to your point, that if you were on the island and you weren't part of the abuse, but if you knew about the abuse, even if you were off the island, right? Like if you knew about the abuse, probably you were more, you should have done more, right? And you are in some way implicated. If you just tried to make money from this guy and you knew that he was doing things like this, probably, I think to some level, your knowledge of something could make you implicated. It's like Schrodinger's sin.
Right. I can't remember if it's called Gray's Law or something, but it's a mix mash of any sufficiently advanced ignorance or incompetence is indistinguishable from malice. Yeah, so therefore, just because you were dumb or just because you didn't know what was going on, if the outside world, if it's imperceivable to know the difference between you didn't know and you were there and causing part of it, then that's kind of how the rule works.
Can I take that? Middle class white America in the 1990s. But yeah, I just meant
silence is violence, is what you're saying?
I mean, yeah.
Somebody needs to tell that monk on the cliff that
if you kill a monk and there's no one around, or I don't know how that.
I've been watching a lot of Stephen Wright's comedy lately, the king of the one-liners.
Yeah,
he had a bit about a tree falling in the woods, and he was like, it fell right in front of me, but I didn't hear it. It's like someone kind
of I love Stephen Wright. I mean, yeah, I feel like at the end of the day, we should all probably have put more information out and done everything we could, but like, what can you do if you know something and those people are at the top of the food chain? I mean, how much information can you put out? Anyway.
Right. And then there's the question of like, oh, you're not being courageous because you're not saying anything, because you'd be risking your own neck, but you could be risking your wife, your kids, your parents' neck too. So it's just like, dude, at which point are you just, yeah, I'm gonna be the whistleblower on this one. It's just like everyone has got something to protect, like not just their own reputation, but like the lives of people around them. Like I think people get threatened all over the place, like that they're like of the most terrible things, like make them an offer you can't refuse. That has to happen all the time, man. Just saying, And do I blame the people for not like putting themselves in a position where that? Yeah, I don't know.
Well, I don't know. Everyone should go to chaostwins.com. Make sure you guys are invested in Sam Tripoli and Thomas's new Chaos Twins issue 2. Seems very important. And then also MK Ultra. Go to MK Ultra Sound 723 so you can watch these videos, or you can go check out my page because I just retweeted it. You can see Immortal with the Grimes album Miss Anthropocene, which kind of sounds like a monkey joke anyway. So it's back to the monkey.
She's got an idea of like new gods. This is a concept album. So if you look at the Wikipedia, it'll explain that it's like there's like the goddess of climate change or something, which feels kind of cynical, actually. Like the whole thing kind of feels kind of cynical. But like, I don't know what's going on with Grimes. Like, I don't know what her reality is, but I get the sense that there's a lot of research chemicals involved with at least historically with her. Like this is a psychedelic type of music. Like there is a genre that of what this genre is. I don't even know exactly what to call it, but whatever
PCP
it is, she's like at the top of it. So like there's a lot of people doing this kind of thing, a lot of girls doing this kind of
hyper pop.
But she seems like maybe, or like trip pop is I think what I would call a lot of it, And it's not trip hop. It's not Massive Attack for sure, but it's definitely not hip hop. It's not just electronic. I think it's trip pop. But whatever. It feels very like her music feels very drug induced, and I may not have ever taken the types of drugs that she has access to or done the level of VR that she's doing along with the Wachowski.
Yeah, she's probably got that Neuralink drug at this point.
Yeah,
probably. Dude. Yeah. I don't know what's going on there, but
I just visualize the horror of Babylon though. So
yeah, I can't in my mind think that Grimes hasn't seen this film and isn't super into it, because she has this whole like let's take ketamine and play video games thing to her, and she probably connected with Musk on that level. Sure, I'm feeling around in the dark. I'm not privy to whatever their world was, but my guess is the idea of a god, a new god coming down and taking over the body of somebody is probably like for them, for like
to have sex with a girl.
Of course that happens. Like I know that happens. You know what I mean?
This is totally their life. This is their whole like, this is 50 Shades of Grey for Elon Musk and Grimes. Okay.
Yeah, thank you. That's exactly what I'm saying. Well put.
Oh, it's so good. I can't wait to rewatch it. I really do love this movie. It's one of my favorites. And definitely you should find the comic book. Nicopole trilogy is just so good, to be honest. All right. See you guys next time.
All right. Thanks.
Oh wait, where'd I go? Sorry. I had the AstroTurf video.